You got another card scheduled for, what, January 30th, right?
Yeah, January 30th in Miami.
You're bringing back Cyborg. You're also trotting out Herschel Walker. I know Dave's not a huge fan of that. Why is Herschel part of this whole thing?
Well, I'll tell you. Let me just tell you guys a story about Herschel. He wanted to fight. I met with his manager, and I said, "There's no way we're going to do this fight, and we're not going to be in the Herschel Walker fight business." He gave him 10 reasons why we're not. And the guy kept bugging me, and finally he said, "Look, just come meet Herschel." And I said, "Okay, come meet him." So I sat down, and Herschel walks in, and I go, "This guy's still in great shape." We sat down, we had dinner, talked, and he said, "Scott, just let me work out. Just watch me work out." And I said, "Okay." So I flew down our matchmaker, we had him work out at Legends Gym in Los Angeles. And we brought in a wrestler, Purdue Division 1A wrestler, brought in a kickboxer, and brought in a grappler, jiu-jitsu guy to work out with Herschel. And he went about 20 minutes straight. He did 4 rounds of all the different various disciplines and 1 round of combination, and he did pretty good. I mean, he was, the wrestler could not take him down one time. He had a great sprawl. He had some good stand-up ability. He's been in martial arts his whole life. And, I asked Bob at the time, who was helping us, and I said, "Bob, do you think that this guy could do it?" And he said, "Scott, I think I could get him ready." So the deal with him was, look, if you come to AKA and you come up here and you live up here and you train up here for, the time that's needed for you to get ready for this fight, then we'll give you the opportunity to fight in a fight. And Herschel's here training now. He's here working out and sparred with Cain Velasquez today and grappled with Trevor Prangley, who's fighting Robbie Lawler, and he worked out with Luke Rockhold. So he's in there with all the guys, and he's doing his thing, and all the reports I'm getting back are that he's doing very well, and he'll be ready.
Scott, I'll give you the 2 reasons that I am bearish on this move. One is he's the senior golf tour to me. In other words, nobody cares about those guys anymore. He's 48 years old. He's a generation older than your demographic. They don't even know who he is. The second thing is, and this is the worst, that's just an opinion on my part. The more serious one is he's pushing 50. If something bad happens to him, and it can happen, it's a dangerous sport, it is a disaster for the entire industry. That's why I don't think it's a good idea.
Well, here's the thing, and that's well noted. And you know what? When we sent Herschel to get his medicals done and get his stress test done, and we took him through every test in the book. And he is healthy as a 20-year-old. The doctor that did a stress test said that the cardiologist said, as in all his years of having a practice, he is by far the number 1 ranked athlete that's ever walked in there and taken this test. And on many different levels, he's performed what he's needed to do to show us that he could do it. If I thought that that it was an age issue, I think we would pull the plug. But if he keeps going if he keeps progressing like he's doing, then I think that there's not going to be a situation where just like any other fighter. I mean, when they step into the cage, it is always a risk, and and Herschel, this is something Herschel wants to do. And keep in mind, Herschel, when he was going to college, he told me he would go football practice. Saturdays he'd play the game, and then Sundays he would go fight in karate tournaments. So this is something he's continued to do his whole life, competing in martial arts, and he just feels like this is his next step that he wants to do. And believe me, he's not going to make a career out of it. This is something that he wants to do, and he's training to do it. And if the guys at AK feel like that he could be ready, then he's going to do it. And if they feel that he can't, they're going to tell me.
Talking about some fighting with Scott COKER, CEO from Strikeforce. I got a card coming up next week. We'll be out there covering that. You got UFC coming up this weekend, so a lot of MMA to close the year here in 2009. Kung Lee, Josh Thompson, Melendez, Scott Smith, Lawler, Prangley, Mo Lawal, Matt Lindland is back, Jacare is on the card, so it's a hell of a card next week in San Jose. I think you walk a fine line, and this is your job as a promoter. You walk a fine line in terms of selling tickets and making promotable fights and legit competition. Like, I'll give you another example. I didn't say this before, but now looking back on it, we like Kim Couture, and she's been in here with us, but honestly, that was one of those fights, as you watched it, Scott, and it unfolded, we were like, oh, man, maybe this was a mistake. Because she wasn't very competitive.
She's not good.
Well,
that's a tough one.
I can tell you, you know what, it's, Kim's been training really hard, getting ready, and, she has 3 fights. I think she has 3 fights in her career now.
Yep.
And, her first fight she won with us, and then this fight she lost. And the fight before she fought with us, I think she lost as well. So I think, she wanted to try it, she wanted to do it, and I think that, she has to evaluate what she wants to do from here.
Would you jump at another chance to get her in the cage, or tell her, you might want to go to a smaller venue?
I think that, she should probably, if she really wants to do MMA, continue training and really getting, improving your skills, and maybe fighting some local shows there, before you take the next step on, on Showtime.
Right. You know what? Kerry Vera looks tremendous. So, I think you got a nice prospect there. I'm trying to think back to what month it was. I think it was one of your, the initial show coming out with the Elite XC buy and, the whole Showtime deal. We talked about Kimbo Slice. Did you see the numbers last night? I remember talking to your previous matchmaker, Javier Mendez, and he was like, not really high on Kimbo. You look back on it now, what do you think? Should you have been in the Kimbo business? He drew about 5 million viewers on the Tough 10 finale.
Well, and I had just heard that the numbers were good, and good for Kimbo. And, he's bringing a lot of eyeballs to MMA. But, our company it's just a much different situation when we bought Pro Elite and we're going into the Showtime business. I was thinking in my head, okay, who are we going to match him up with? And, I just couldn't put it together.
Right.
Who we're going to match him up with to fight him that would be competitive. And so, that's why we didn't pick him up.
I have a feeling his management wouldn't have worked out a deal with you guys to make $25,000 a fight. Just a gut feeling from a model standpoint. I don't know that that's the number they were talking about.
Wait, say that one more
because
time?
he made $25,000 for this fight over the weekend. I'm guessing that they probably wanted a little more than $25,000.
Well, I can tell you this: I'm sure he made more than $25,000 last night or the other night.
Sure, there's a little bonuses, yeah, sure.
Of course, I mean, it's not always what's on the contract.
Of course.
So, but here's the thing: is that he's going to be a great, just like he was for Elite XC. He was a great readiness deliverer for the 2 or 3 fights that he fought, and at some point he's going to have to fight real tough competition for people to keep watching.